Hello everyone. This will serve two purposes. One, the replay can't fit on Instagram. It's too big as a post. So we're going to do this one where you can see the entire screen. You can see my workspace as I go through and do this. It'll be posted to YouTube, of course, so that you've got that wide screen that you can look at this on. This is going to be another dodge and burn. So what we're going to do is start off with a layer, which you see down here. It's layer 2. I already have done work on this previously, and you can see a little of that right there, but we're going to start over from scratch. We're going to use the dodge and burn tool, and the goal here is to use the shadows to push back and add depth. We're also going to use a little bit of the lightning, which will pull things toward us. For example, this bicep is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We'll make this a little bigger. Now I don't have to be exact with it because I'm doing the shadows, and because it's a mid-tone, it's going to take care of most of what I want for me, and I don't have to be worried about how exacting I am in the location of the drawing that I do. And we're going to go over it a couple of times here. I don't have this set so that it does things at a very high level. It's only a 20% exposure, as you can see, and only on the midtones. So now if we look at the bicep, this is what we've got, which is better. It shows it off much more, but if we make the brush bigger and still using our dodge and burn tool, we go over it, not enhancing the shadows, but enhancing the lightning. What we'll do is we'll get it a little bit more, and you can see that pop out. Now, of course, the issue is if you're doing this in one area, you kind of have to do it around the surrounding areas as well if you want it to look natural. Now I go in and out quite a bit, and the reason I do this is because I want it to look natural. Now what I don't like is I don't like the way that muscle pops quite as much. So I'm going to take this, throw it away, create a new layer. I think I liked it better when all I did was the shadows, so we're not going to do the other part of it. We're just going to do the shadows this time. And I'm not going to do the shadows quite as much. I'm not going to do the double. I'm just going to do a single around it. As you see me go around the top of the muscle, it's just to set it off just a bit more. And I like that. It makes it look more realistic to me. I think I'm also going to go around the rest of the arm. To pull it out a little bit more. He doesn't need to have the same offset that we used in other, like with the yellow background, because he's already set off from it. But this should add just a little bit more depth to things. I'll get back to work here on the other aspects of the arm. Again, if I don't touch everything, it can look less realistic, because if all I have is this muscle right here that pops out, that would make you wonder why the rest of the picture doesn't do that. But one thing you also have to be aware of is that you have to do the face as well. So these little areas on the face that would normally stand out also have to be done. I'm going to make the nose pull out just a bit. And the reason you need to do this is, again, you want the image to look natural. We're not changing how he looks. We're not making muscle where there isn't any. We're not adding shadows where there aren't any. We're just trying to make him look three-dimensional. With a face, you definitely want to pull that out from the background just a bit, which is difficult when you've got a dark background, but we're going to make it work. Now, when I say we're going to make things three-dimensional, I mean all of it, which means we also have to do the ear. Now, why are we doing the ear? It's prominent. It shows very clearly in here. And again, we don't want the ear to look flat against the head when the rest of the body has been changed to make it look more three-dimensional. The goal is to present, in this case, a digital format, but let's say it was a 30 by 40 print. You want that print to look as close to the person standing next to it as possible. You're not going to get 100% there. You're still dealing with a flat object. So all we're doing is trying to allow the eye to see things that it would normally have seen facing the person. Now, for example, right here in the center part between the chest, it looks almost flattened out. And it does so because of the lighting and the angle and the position that he's in. But if you were standing there looking at him, you'd see that definition. So we continue around here. And then we're going to do through here. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like on that layer that I created. So if I take everything away and we just go with that layer, you can see the areas that I've darkened. That's all I'm doing. Now, does this work in every instance? Absolutely not. I have a image of a bodybuilder that was so washed out that when I do dodge and burn on it, I left it as an example, but when I do dodge and burn on it, you actually lose the color a little bit. It comes out looking more gray. So next week, we're going to use a different technique. It's going to get us past that limitation. However, I will warn you that it will be a longer video next week because doing this dodge and burn, while detailed, is still fairly quick. Stopping every so often to make sure that you are getting everything that you want does take some time, but with this other technique, you're basically using the color of the person's skin as the shadow. Now, is it perfect? Nope. However, when you think about the fact that the other came out looking so gray, then you can see how if we use something that was a little bit more tan, in this guy's case, it might come out looking a little better. Now, in the case of the guy who was washed out, he was a white gentleman. The lighting is horrific on him. It looks like it was just taken in a normal gym setting, and gym lighting, as we know, is not the best thing in the world. And again, I have to do all this extra to it because I want this person to look natural. I think I might give this just a little bit of a hint. That looks good. Again, you'll notice I'm not going over any area that isn't shadow. No matter how hard it is to see it, everything that I'm touching is a shadowed area. I want everything that should pop out to pop out. A lot of work was done to sculpt the body. And the last thing I want to do is have a two-dimensional picture take away those gains. In most cases, just doing the shadow is enough. Occasionally, like in this area right here, I'm adding in a little bit of lighting to bring that out, and I'll show you more where that also can come into play. So if we look up here at this vein that's bulging out of his arm, it's better now. If I go over the darkening a little bit more on it, it looks better. But if I take just a little bit of time to go over it with lighting. Now, dodge and burn is a double technique. It makes things brighter, it makes things darker. Now you can see that it pops right out. We'll do the same thing up here with these. Now, if I go over an area that I already darkened, this will lighten it back up. But you can see the difference. That makes. Go back at it with just a little bit more darkening in here. And sometimes this means you're looking at an image that doesn't look like a person anymore just to get to the pieces that you want. Knowing the makeup of the human body, what you're looking for, how it's constructed, what to expect, helps you to refine the photograph even more. So then no matter how zoomed in you are, you still can understand what it is that you're working on and what you need to be doing. Okay. Got just a little bit in here that you can see. Veins may pop up, but they had to start from someplace. So following them down to make sure that you've gotten every bit of it is good practice. And if you wonder why I do so many of these retouches, it is all practice. The way you get good at everything is practice, just like doing reps. It's practice, practice, practice to get the reps just right and to be able to do them without having to worry that you're doing it correctly. A little bit in here that needs to be touched. I'll bring that out a little bit more. Highlight that just a bit to pop it a little bit. Expand this up. Gonna drop my exposure down to 10%. And we're gonna add just a little bit of lighting. Let's see what that does for me. Yep, gives me a little bit more of what I was looking for. Now this was a stock photo, professionally done, but you can see the differences that it makes just by going back over this and doing this extra refinement to it. Now, when I take a photograph, I usually put it aside for a day or two. Not that I don't want to get to it. I'd like to get into them and do them as quickly as possible, but I know that by setting it aside for a day, especially after I've done a retouch on it, it allows me to think about the changes that were made. I also have the original photograph that I can always look back on as a reference to see if I overdid things, or is there an area I should have paid more attention to. So hopefully this gives you guys an idea of what happens on a relatively quick retouch. This one is under 20 minutes. Still a little bit more I could do in here, but I don't want to take up everybody's time while I go through and do everything on here. But this gives you an idea of the type of work that gets done. And to give you an idea of the things that I'm talking about, I see in here veins, which are very hard to see. However, another reason I put things aside for a little bit of time, because I'll go back and, especially if I'm working on one for quite a while, I will see things that I missed. Basically staring at this much body for so long, things can start to blur together and you miss things just like you naturally would. So there's a whole lot of veins in here that will get retouched, and the image will be brought to life. So on Monday there'll be a recap like last time, showing certain part of the body, popping it from the original to the retouched version of it so you can see clearly what changes were done. Wednesday there'll be another notification of the next subject and a little extra detail about what we're going to do with that and what I do, which is basically create artwork in different forms. So there'll be some of that in Wednesday as well. And then Friday night will be another live retouch. I think we're going to do Instagram again this time. It may be the last time just because that format is so small. I don't think it gives you guys the proper view of everything going on. But we'll see how it goes, and you guys can let me know in the comments. Other than that, thank you very much, and have a good day.